My people wonder, they say, shall never end. They said the king was in disbelief. As a matter of fact, they said elders that were with the king when Adetutu exposed what Ebony did to her that made her not to want to marry the king. They said they opened their mouth, they couldn't close it. You know, they said Adetutu said she's not going to marry the king as long as Ebony is in the picture. And we all know that simply make it look like they are mounting so much pressure on the king to choose between Adetutu and Ebony. And come to think of it, Ebony already have a son for the king. So it's going to be a very difficult situation. And from what we are hearing, they said there is this particular ritual right now they are supposed to do. It is still pending over the fact that the Jew wanted Adetutu to do it for him, as in to represent her. Sorry. The king wanted Adetutu to represent her. But the elders are saying that, oh, there is limit to representation that Adetutu can do for the king unless she marries the king. Then the king wanted to marry Adetutu, but Adetutu said no. At first, they said she did not explain things to to the king. Why? The only thing she said is that as long as Ebony is in the picture, that she's not going to share the king with Ebony. Knowing fully well that Ebony have been in that marriage with her, people were confused. Why would she make such a comment? Is it that she wants to push Ebony out of her matrimonial home? And from the look of things, because of the fact that the king and Ebony are not in good relationship now, we are hearing that the king might send Ebony. As a matter of fact, there was a video we saw where they say she told Ebony that by today being Monday, if Adetutu continues to say no to him because of you, that you will leave him with no option than to send you out, you know. And from what we are hearing, even as it stands now, Ebony cannot be allowed to go to the king's chamber, according to the information reaching us. So don't forget that they are all alleged. So now that this thing happened, a lot of people have been talking to Adetutu, and Adetutu keep telling them that Ebony will push her to the wall, and when she will fire back, that a lot of things will happen, and a lot of people might even blame her at the end of the day. They said Ebony family went as far as going to meet Soko of Soko Agba, Abi Soko Agba, as in the head of their family. That is the head of the family where Adetutu comes from, to go and tell the man what Adetutu is trying to do to Ebony, push Ebony out of her matrimonial home, and all of that. And they said the kind of questions that Adetutu asked Ebony in front of that man and all the elders that came with her, they said she couldn't answer it. Instead, she started begging for forgiveness. And the king was surprised. He was so surprised that he wanted to know why Adetutu would just reject him like that. Is it that he is not a good man? Is it that there are some mistakes that Adetutu have found out, or things about him that have Adetutu find out that she doesn't like, that made her not to say want to marry the king? And we all know that the king is hot cake. Yes, to them all, because many of them who want influence at all costs would want to settle with the king, you know, for the king. If even though they become the eighth wife or be ninth wife, they don't care. But for Adetutu to say no, even when they are in a very good relationship, because they said these few months that Adetutu have been in the palace, she have grown to love the king love her in return, and all of that. So why would she said no? Not until they said, after all this gragra, they said the king now summoned Adetutu and wanted to have one-on-one talk with Adetutu. Although they said there are few elders who were present there, and maybe those ones are the ones that the king trusted. And they said the king asked Adetutu that he wants to know this. He wants to have a sincere answer on that question. Why would Adetutu say that she will not share the king with Ebony? Meanwhile, Ebony is not the only woman that is married to the king. There are other women. Lizzie is there. Gospel is there. Blow Blow is there. Igby is there. Oletik is there. All of them are there. Why then did she point out Ebony? Why? Because to the king was curious. He needed to know why. It was then that they said Adetutu opened her mouth to say few things. According to her, she said these are just few things. At first, when Ebony found out that the king was making arrangements to marry Adetutu, they said few elders from Ebony's family and Ebony herself, they set out on a journey to bring confusion between the king and the Adetutu, so that that marriage will not work. But because Adetutu is always spiritually alert, she was able to find out what these people wanted to do, and she was able to destroy their plans. So it did not work. So as if that is not enough, Adetutu told the king that there was something that Ebony did, that if not that she knows how to hold herself in certain situations, that she would have, by now, Ebony would have been in one room where she would be smelling and all of that. And the king was surprised to hear that and went further to ask her why. That was how they said, Adetutu told the king that particular dates that she came to the palace, they said she told the king everything, how the king invited her and gave her a say, that royal staff that they used to represent the king. And while she was coming out, that Ebony saw her while she was going to collect that from the king. And Ebony was at a corner. And the part that almost want her to fight back was Ebony dropped something on the floor for her to march on. So that by the time she will march on that thing, she will be inflicted with strange disease that they will be carrying her from one place to the other. And by the time they started carrying her like that, one, the marriage between her and the king will no longer continue. And again, she will not be in the palace to represent the king and the jewel. So when she find out about that, she said something rise of anger, her level of anger increased. But she told herself no. Ebony wanted to challenge her, but let her just allow her go scot-free today, since she did not even match on that thing. But she said her instinct told her, and she started being watchful, and she saw when Ebony dropped that. And when she come closer, she was able to find out what that is meant for. But she was able to avert it, as in she dodged it. And they said the king could not believe it. So Ebony can go as far as trying to inflict Adetutu with a strange illness. Yeah? But I used to think that they said the after immunity remover, that if they try anything again, that they are going to use their head to carry it. How come, if this one is true, if this information is true, how come she did it and it did not backfire? I don't know. I was confused when I hear this. So they said the king himself was surprised. He couldn't believe it. Even the elders who were there with her, they were surprised too. But I believe that the king have known Ebony too well, that for him to know the kind of things that Ebony will do and the ones that she might not do. Or is it even anything that she cannot do in order to get what she wants? Anyway, that is what we are hearing. They said the king was surprised when Adetutu told her all of this. So that is what we're hearing, if the information is true. Don't forget, they are all alleged unverified information making rounds on social media. I do not live in the palace, so always bear that in mind. Okay, thanks for watching. Please do well to share this video and subscribe to my channel. I love you guys. Bye. See you.